Hey everybody, I'm Rob from Wicked Prepared, and today we're talking about pre-sprouting seeds. Most people know the conventional way that you'd be starting a seedling is you take your seed and you put it in the dirt, you cover it up, water it, let it set for a little while, and after a certain amount of days you have a seedling come up, usually. Whether you're doing that outside or doing it inside under grow lights like I have here. But pre-sprouting is a little bit different. It gives the seedling a little bit different type of a head start. Basically, you're sprouting a seed with no growing medium, no dirt whatsoever. And you just have the seed and you have the proper conditions. It germinates, the root comes out, the stem comes up, and you have a seedling. There are a ton of advantages to pre-sprouting and not many drawbacks. It is a little time consuming, but it saves so much time in the long run because you're not waiting around wondering if this seed is going to sprout or come out of the dirt or not make it at all. When you pre-sprout, the seed sprouts about 2 to 3 times faster, or it can as long as you have the right conditions. One of the greatest benefits, especially when it comes to being prepared, is that you can test old seeds. So if you saved seeds from last year's planting or the year before, or maybe the year before that, you can pre-sprout them and make sure they're still viable. Or worst case, if they don't sprout, then you know that they're no good and you throw them away then. Pre-sprouting can save a lot of headaches and it can make sure that your seed supply is still in good shape. There's also a lot less waste with pre-sprouting. The conventional way of planting, a lot of people put 2 or 3 seeds in each container if you're starting plants inside, or in each hole if you're starting them right in the garden. The 2 to 3 seeds is to make sure that you do get at least one that germinates. Seed germination rate is anywhere from 50% to usually around 85%. So you know you're going to have at least 15 out of 100 seeds that don't do anything at all. So if you can pre-sprout them and weed those out, get it? Then you're not wasting time and energy trying to grow a seed that's just a complete dud and isn't going to do anything. Now you may have been asking yourself, why does it look like Rob is in a creepy basement with purple lights? Well, folks, it's because I am. We decided just this year to move our grow lights and start our seedlings in the basement. There's a fair amount of room down here, and it does stay pretty much as warm as the rest of the house. I know some people have basements that stay cooler. If your basement stays, I would say, at least 60 degrees, then this should work for you to grow them in the basement. It just works out perfect for us. We have water, electricity down here. I did put a cage around my shelves here. We have a few cats that like to go in the basement, and they do help with the mice. But I can see a precious little seedling growing on the edge of the shelf here, and a cat coming along and just knocking it clean off the shelf into a pile on the floor. We are growing seedlings in our basement, and you probably can hear the hot water heater kicking on and the furnace running from time to time. Dogs upstairs barking and Jerry yelling at them, or maybe yelling at the kids. I'll just show you here what we've got going so far. I've got a good number of our peppers started, and eggplant, and then down here we've got broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. I think that's about it for right now, but we've got a lot more that are pre-sprouting as we speak, actually, and they'll be joining them. So you really don't need a lot of supplies to get started with pre-sprouting. Of course, you need your seeds, and then you need bags, quart size, paper towels, and you're gonna need a marker, and then you're gonna need a heat source. You need a place that stays dark, and it needs to stay right around 75 to 80 degrees pretty constantly. Now, a lot of people use the top of their refrigerator, and that does work. again, we have cats, and if you have cats, you understand exactly what I'm saying. By morning, they'd be on the floor and probably ripped to shreds. So the refrigerator really isn't an option for us, and we don't really have any other place that's very convenient as far as that. So what I did is I did buy a heat mat that's used for germinating, and I usually try to go the cheaper route and try to use something we have, but we just didn't have anything that would really work. So I did buy one on Amazon. This is the heat mat that we bought on Amazon, and it is controlled by this thermostat right here. It all came together. All of these seedlings behind me, I started with the pre-sprouting method, and it works awesome. So I'm just going to walk you through the steps, show you real quick how to do it. I already have a bunch of my seeds pre-sprouting right now, but I could always do a few more just to show you guys how to do it. It's super easy, and it really does change the way you garden. It takes out so much of the worry and the anxiety and the wondering if a seed is going to actually come up out of the ground. It's pretty cool to watch. It's really neat to see how it happens, and it's cool for kids to see how it works, and even adults get a kick out of it, or at least I do, but I love gardening. So we'll get started here. You want to take your paper towels, and if you're using a select a size, I just take 4 sheets, keep them all connected, and just fold the 4 in half. That way you have a double layer. And then the paper towels do need to be moist, not dripping wet, but you do need them wet, and they need to stay wet through the entire pre-sprouting process. But I'll go over that a little bit later. But to start out with, I take just a spray bottle. Go ahead and spray that side down, flip it over and do the other side. So this is just nice and damp. So if you took the paper towel and just kind of squeezed it in your hands, you don't want any water running out of it. So you can either pat it dry with a towel or wring it out by hand. You just need it damp. So we're going to be sprouting just some spinach seeds that we had left over from last year. So you're just going to take and place them right on the paper towel. I'll get a few on here and then show you how I like to arrange them. And it's not, you don't have to be too particular, but just put some on there, and I like to just space them out, an inch or 2 apart from each other. And if you stagger them a little, that way, I'll show you, we're going to fold the paper towel up. And that way, as you're folding the paper towel, it keeps the seeds separate. Take and fold that in half, and then I'll fold it in half again, and then go ahead and fold it one more time. Makes a nice little envelope for the seeds. Just take our paper towel with the seeds, slip it right inside the bag, and then you want to push as much of the air out as will come out, and go ahead and seal it. Take your marker, and we'll just write date. Today is the 5th, and then we're just sprouting spinach. So if you have different varieties, I keep them separate, and you do want to make a different bag for each type of seed. So this bag might be for spinach, the next bag might be for cabbage, the next one might be for a different breed of cabbage. And then we might have I have stacks and stacks of we've got cabbage, basil, artichoke, sweet peppers, early summer peppers, ancho peppers, onions, all kinds of different types and strains of vegetables. And you can do this with flowers as well. So that is all you do. You just take your packet, and I've got my heat mat up here, and you just set it right on the heat, and I stack them up on the heat mat. And then you'll take, and you can't really see it on the camera, but I just take a pan like this with these all spread on the heat mat, set the cover right down on top of it, and that keeps a lot of the heat and moisture inside, which is very important for germinating and pre-sprouting. So I've got a couple of the pre-sprouting packets here that I started. This one actually I just started yesterday, and this one I started a couple weeks back. The Brussels sprouts and stonehead cabbage here. So I'll just show you the evolution here of the sprout. And you want to make sure you check these. I usually try to check them at least every other day, if not every day, just to make sure what's going on. And the most important thing is to make sure this stays damp. You don't need it dripping wet, but just not dry for sure. So these are our cabbage seeds. These just sprouted today, and these are ready to go in the dirt, just like this. These are excellent. So a seed like this, you would just take and put it right in the dirt like that, and then I usually take just a little bit of soil and cover up the root. You want to make sure the root stays under the soil, but the top part obviously needs to come up out of the dirt. So just a little bit of dirt around it keeps it secure in there. And then after a day or two, you'll start to see the stem push its way up through. Now I'll show you the Brussels sprouts we have sprouted here, and these have actually sprouted a little bit too far, further than I usually like to let them go when I plant them, but I actually sprouted too many and went ahead and planted what I needed. But you can see this is what happens as they sprout further, and this one I actually just broke a little bit there. These are very fragile, so you want to be extremely careful with them. But you can see this one's got the little seeds already, the little leaves already coming out, the root down at that end. What happens with these as they sprout further and further, grow further and further, the roots start to take hold in the paper towel. So if that does happen, these can still be planted, but you just want to take and tear the paper towel around the root instead of tearing the actual root. And they grab on pretty solid to the paper towel, but if you just tear that all out of there, then you can take this sprout with the paper towel. You just got to make a lot deeper hole, but it can go. Take your dirt, make a decent hole. And again, this isn't the greatest way to do it, but it can be done rather than just throwing these away. But you just want to take the root and twist it around, bend it, try not to break it, but stuff it right down inside the dirt, and you can get some of the seedling in there as well. Kind of pile the dirt around there, tap it down a little bit. Like I said, this one's a little bit too far for my liking, but that would grow. That would take hold, and it would grow fine under the light or even on a windowsill. So if you can help it, it's best to plant these before the sprouts get to this point. You're just running a risk of damaging them at this point. So if you can get them the way those cabbage seeds were that I showed you, it makes it a lot easier, and it's a lot better for the seeds. So I'll show you. This is kind of the next step. This is after this. This is a Brussels sprout I put in the dirt a couple days ago, and it's taken hold pretty well, and it's starting to open the leaves up a little here. So this is doing great, and then eventually you get to your seedling looking like this. This is a pepper that I planted quite a few days back, but see the leaves coming out there, and eventually the first true leaves will emerge, and it'll just keep growing from there. So that's pretty much all there is to pre-sprouting. It's pretty cool. I've had great results. I encourage anybody to try it, at least see what they do, see how the sprouts look when they grow. It's pretty neat to see, to watch it happen. So I went ahead and put a link to our blog down in the description here on the video. I wrote a blog article going over pre-sprouting as well. So if you'd rather see it in written form, and I did include pictures along the way. So that's down below. If you get any questions, comments, we'd love to hear from you. And if you can like this video, it definitely helps us out. And subscribe to our channel for more videos down the road. We'll be doing all kinds of videos about gardening, about preparing, cooking, all kinds of different things. So stay tuned, and together we can all be wicked prepared. We'll see ya. And today we're going to be talking about pre-spreading. Today we're going to be talking about pre-spreading. Yes, that's exactly what we'll be talking about. There's also a lot less waste. For basements or basements that are